They definitely didn't look like they would end up in a long-term relationship. That epilogue is like the worst epilogue that I have read. I'm sorry, but she sounds really pathetic in here. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Sinag and welcome to a new video. So, it's been a while since I did this author taste test video featuring 3 different authors or new to me authors, and the last 2 videos in this kind of series in this channel, I featured individual authors and multiple works from them. So in this one, we're going to go back to how it is initially started. So sometimes I'm going to do author taste tests like this one with 3 different new to me authors, or I would focus on one author only and multiple works of them. So how this video is going to be set up, I'm going to read the book first fully, and then after that I'm going to review it and tell my thoughts about it and whether I want to continue reading from the author or if I'm excited to read more of their next books, or if I want to pick up more from them. Basically, I'm going to update you as I finish each of the books that we're going to read. The first author in this video is going to be Kristina Forrest. So I just finished reading The Neighbor Favor, and this is actually her adult contemporary debut book. I actually really like this one. It is very fast to read and very fun to read as well. So it's very engaging in terms of how the words were used. Like, it's very easy to understand, and I was actually surprised when I see that I'm already at the epilogue a while ago. Though there are some things that I found kind of lacking in this one. So the characters was set up well, and I love the family dynamics between Lily and her sisters and her parents, and I enjoyed seeing that part. But when it comes to the relationship, Nick and Lily as a unit, I feel like the romance only showed the honeymoon phase, or the vibes that I'm getting from the romance as a unit is more of the honeymoon phase kind and not a long-term relationship. I think both of our main characters individually are strong on their own. However, as a unit or as a couple, I feel like their relationship was a bit lacking, or their romance in this one was a bit lacking. I want to see more romantic scenes of them. I feel like they didn't really connect in a way that I can see them staying together for a long time. So I think this is a very good example of a relationship that I can see working out for maybe a maximum of a year and then breaking up and then moving on with their lives, because they definitely didn't look like they would end up in a long-term relationship based on how they interacted in this one. However, I think that since this is a very new, or at least we stopped the book at the point where they are just starting the relationship, so they have lots of time to get to know each other more and to strengthen their bonds together. So I could be wrong with my initial thoughts, but at least that's how I perceive this based on the epilogue, because that epilogue is like the worst epilogue that I have read, because it basically didn't offer anything in terms of what the purpose of the epilogue is, which is to kind of give us a little bit something about how the characters interacts or their romance after a specific period of time. But in this one, it kind of happens in the same timeline, and it didn't offer anything new in terms of the romantic scenes or the romantic relationship. I don't feel like their relationship really was strengthened with what happened in that very short epilogue. And the epilogue is just, I don't like the epilogue. I don't like the epilogue because it's very playing safe, at least from how I perceive it, because it didn't offer, it's more of a happy for now situation, but it didn't really show more than I want. I don't know how to explain that really well. So I gave this book 3 stars, and despite that, I'm still excited to read the next book in this series, which is going to be Violet's book. So Violet is Lily's older sister. Based on writing style alone, I really like how Kristina Forrest writes and her words and how strong her characters are individually. I'm going to definitely read more from Kristina Forrest, but only the adult romances that she's going to write. Already perfected her writing style, I think, and her characterizations or how she makes her characters, because her characters are very solid and they have their own personalities and distinctions with each other, and they are unique and very memorable in their own ways. It's just that their actual romance was a bit lacking for me. So as an adult romance reader, I think this is a success for our first author. So I'm going to update you once I finished another book. So I find another author or a new author that I think I'm going to want to read more from her. So I finished reading Feels Like Home by Collier, and this is the workplace romance that I like and I would definitely would love to read more of. So in this one, we have our main characters, Jamila and Kree. So Kree is a marketing executive while Jamila is under him. I don't have any memorable things to say about both of our main characters as individuals, because I think the thing that made this book perfect is their dynamics together, like them being a part of a relationship or a unit and not necessarily them as individuals, though they definitely have a little bit of background in here, but it didn't take the overall plot, or we didn't focus on their issues as individuals and from their past. Instead, we focused, or this book focused more on what's happening on their present and how are they going to proceed after what happened, because they had a one night stand. That's their initial interaction, or that's the kaya kumbaga that's the origin, or yeah, the origin of the relationship, so or situationship. And I know that this is kind of rare instance in real life, the healthy workplace romance dynamics, but I appreciate that this book didn't go to too much drama, because we have seen a lot of things in here along the way which could cause a lot of drama and potential third act conflict for our main characters. But I like that this book just focused talaga on the relationship between our main characters and mostly their conflicts, though there is no big conflict, like conflict talaga in here, but these small conflicts that they have, it rooted in internal things. We really get to see two people in a relationship deal with realistic stuff in terms of their insecurities and their past traumas, and healthily and address it to each other healthily. And I don't know if that makes sense, but and I just like how communication was important between our main characters and our hero, despite our heroine being flaky because of her past or her experiences from the past. Our hero was always there for her, and he tries to understand her first before doing anything drastic. And I love how supportive he is to her, and how he takes care of her and understands her trauma and why she reacted the way she reacted in this book. And I also like seeing our heroine Jamila felt comfortable and safe in Kree, because she dealt with a lot of shitty men before. And I appreciate the progress that she have in here in addressing her issues and in not making other people suffer from the things that other people caused in her life. So I don't know if that makes sense, but so I really enjoyed this book a lot. I think I'm going to give it 5 stars because I really can't think of something that I don't like about this book. I really enjoyed the focus on their present relationship and their communication and trust with each other. And yeah, and I think Crystal Collier's writing style is very easy to read. It's very engaging and compelling to read. I can see the situation unfolding in front of me, and I can feel both of our main characters' emotions. And aside from that, the plot is also kind of realistic, and I really buy the situation between the two of them. And yeah, and I also like the portrayal of a healthy workplace romance dynamics between Kree and Jamila. So it's a 5-star read for me, and I'm happy that I found a new author to read a lot of books from. So Crystal Collier is definitely on my authors to watch out for. I really enjoyed this one, and I highly recommend as well. So that's all for this clip. So we're now at the end of this video. So I have read one last book for this one. So this is actually an e-arc from the author in exchange for an honest review. In this book, we have two main characters. We have Sirin and Bernie. Sirin is a lunologist or a researcher, while Bernie is a bear shifter. So in this book, we mainly follow Sirin in her pursuit to research about the origin of Lunula. So Lunula is an algae in which they got their power. So some humans in this book, based from my understanding, got their powers from Lunula. And so Sirin's thing is that she wanted to research about it and know more about the source of their powers. So Bernie is the one she met along the way. That's the basic premise of this one. So if you're interested, go check it out. But I'm now going on with the review, and I have an outline here on my notebook of the things that I want to talk about in here. The first one I want to talk about is the writing. I find the writing very confusing because I don't know what voice or what style it is. Like, is it casual, is it historical, is it fantastical? It's really confusing to me because it changes from time to time. I find myself most of the time confused on what am I reading, and the writing style definitely did affect my enjoyment of the book. I don't think it's for me. So continuing on, we have plot or storyline. So I find the entire plot or the premise that I've told you a while ago to be really it's very generic and boring for me. There's nothing new or special in here. I'm not going to elaborate on what happened to avoid spoilers, but it's very lukewarm, it's underwhelming, and I expected a lot more based on the title of this book. It's very intriguing and interesting, and I feel like it didn't live up to the hype that I got based from the cover and by the name or the title of the book. So that's kind of disappointing. And then the POVs that we got. So we have two POVs in here. So we have Bernie and Sirin. So their POV is basically just like talking heads. It's like a very long and continuous monologue that is very boring to read, honestly. And because of that, I think there's a lot of telling in here instead of showing. They kept on telling on what's happening and what because in Bernie's point of view, he is just following, or at least the first few chapters in here, he is following Sirin. He is following her and watching her. So most of the time, Bernie just tells us what is happening around him, what is happening on Sirin and all of that. So it's very boring to read, to be honest. I feel like both of our main characters sounded so bland because of that, because of the monologues. And I don't know, and Sirin sounds really I'm sorry, but she sounds really pathetic in here with her dialogues, and I don't know, it's just not for me. Their dialogues don't work, their monologues don't work. And then let's talk about the romance between Sirin and Bernie. There's no chemistry. I'm so sorry, but there's no chemistry. I lean towards the individual things that are going on in their life or their individual conquests, but the romance or the relationship between the two of them is kind of not it for me. Like it's very bland. I don't know what to say. It's just not good. there's no chemistry, and I feel like they were kind of forced to be in a relationship. And I feel like overall, the book focused more on Sirin's exploration or expedition. It leaned more towards that and not the actual romance. And so I think it's only my opinion, but I think that's why this one in the romance department is kind of eh. Let's talk about what I like about this book. I like the footnotes in here, and at first I find it confusing. Again, with the writing style, I find it confusing because the first footnotes that we got is very detached and very, I'm kind of wondering, is the footnotes made by the author, like the author's POV, or is it the character's POV? At first, I thought it is the author's POV because it's very technical and very detached from the story, or at least from my opinion or from my perspective while reading the book. But as we go along each chapter, we get to see some characteristic in that. That's why I came to realize that it is Sirin's like footnotes, and I like how it is incorporated in the book. By the middle part, you get to see Sirin and Bernie's reaction to the part that's being said. So one example is when Sirin is following when Bernie is following Sirin and something happened, and Sirin included in the footnote that she and Bernie was still debating on what actually happened in that book, because we in that situation, because in that situation we are following Bernie, we are in his POV, so we only get to know or see his perspective of the event. But Sirin was kind of debating with Bernie about what actually happened based on her perspective. So it's very interesting to see their additional comments or thoughts on different scenes on the footnotes. So once I was aware that the footnotes was written by our main characters, I kind of like it na. This is a 2-star book for me, but because I think this is a debut from the author, I think the author will improve more as years pass by. So I would definitely want to read their other books, but definitely not the next one. So maybe I'm going to read books that are going to be published a couple of years later, because I just want to read really crisp writing style, and because that's the thing I think that made me kind of not enjoy this book a lot, is because of the writing. So yeah, that's it for this video. I finished reading 3 authors again. I'm happy to say that I found 2 new authors to look forward to, and then this last one, Kass, I still want to read their books, but definitely not anytime soon. So that's all for this video. If you have read any of these books that I have talked about, please comment it down below. And if you have any recommendations for future author taste tests, please comment it down below as well. And yes, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye bye.